The Real Curse of Mary Blackwood, true story behind a town's witch legend and the women who faced it. The Awakening. Sarah screamed as the lights in the old Blackwood house exploded one by one, glass raining down like icy rain. The Ouija board on the table rattled violently, its planchette spinning faster than their eyes could follow. The air turned thick, smelling of smoke and ash. Then came a woman's voice, sharp, broken, and echoing from everywhere at once. "You brought me back," it whispered. "Now, you'll burn like they did." The candles went out. In the dark, something moved behind Sarah, and before she could turn, she felt fingers, cold as death, grip her neck. 2 days earlier, everything was normal. Sarah and her 3 college friends, Jake, Megan, and Chris, had just arrived in Hazel Creek for a history project. The town looked quiet, almost too quiet, with peeling white fences and crooked mailboxes. They rented an old house near Hazel Street, the same one locals warned them about. "That's Mary Blackwood's land," the old store owner had said, eyes wide. "Bad things happen there." But Jake had laughed it off. "It's just a story," he'd said. "We'll get some cool footage for class." That night, they found the Ouija board in a dusty chest in the attic. It looked old, dark wood with letters carved by hand, edges burned. "This must be from the 1800s, Megan whispered, brushing off cobwebs. Chris joked, "Let's ask Mary if she's still mad." They all laughed. The air was heavy, though, like the house itself was listening. When they began the seance, Sarah's hands shook. The planchette moved slowly at first. Then faster. It spelled out Mary. The candles flickered wildly, and the room grew freezing cold. Suddenly, a door slammed upstairs. Jake jumped up to check, but as soon as he stepped onto the staircase, he froze. "Guys," he whispered. "There's someone standing up there." They all turned their flashlights toward the landing, and saw her. A woman in a burned, torn dress, her face hidden by tangled black hair, eyes glowing faintly red. Smoke curled around her feet. The smell of fire filled the air. And then, without warning, she looked straight at Sarah, and smiled. The Vanishing. Sarah fell backward, knocking over a candle as the shadowy woman vanished into the darkness. The flame hit the rug, and smoke filled the room. Jake rushed to stomp it out, coughing, his face pale. "What the hell was that?" he shouted. But no one answered. The air was thick, heavy, like something unseen was pressing down on them. Megan's lips trembled. "It can't be real," she whispered. "It's just a trick of the light." But Sarah knew what she saw. That face. That burned dress. Those eyes. They didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the old house made them jump. Chris tried to make jokes, but his laugh was hollow. Around 3 a.m., Sarah swore she heard someone humming, a woman's voice, soft but filled with sorrow. She followed the sound to the attic. The Ouija board was still there, but the letters looked darker, almost wet. When she touched it, her fingertips came away stained red, like blood. She screamed, waking the others. "We're leaving in the morning," Jake said, voice shaking. "This project isn't worth it." Morning came gray and cold. Their car wouldn't start. Not even a click. Jake cursed and kicked the tire, while Megan tried calling for help, no signal. Sarah wandered toward the edge of the property and noticed something strange. The ground there was blackened, like burned soil, and in the center stood a wooden post, half-rotted and tied with old rope. She felt dizzy looking at it. "That's where they hanged her," came a voice behind her. It was the same old store owner, standing by the fence. His face was pale as chalk. Mary Blackwood. They said her spirit never left. Sarah turned to ask more, but the man was already walking away, his head low. When she looked back at the post, something new caught her eye, ashes drifting up from the ground, glowing faintly red. Then she heard it again. That voice. Closer this time. You brought me back. The ashes lifted into the air, swirling around her like fireflies. Sarah screamed for help, but her friends came too late. The air cracked like lightning, and she was gone. The house traps them. Megan was the first to find Sarah's phone lying in the grass, still recording. The screen flickered, showing static, then Sarah's face for a split second, terrified, whispering something they couldn't understand. Then the camera spun wildly, catching flashes of red light and what looked like smoke twisting into the shape of a woman. The video cut off with a sharp scream. Jake dropped the phone, his hands shaking. We have to get out of here. Now. But Chris was staring toward the burned post. She's not gone, he said softly. She's still here. They packed their things in silence, too scared to argue. But when Jake opened the front door, it wouldn't budge. He pulled harder, nothing. Megan tried a window, it was stuck too, as if nailed shut from the outside. The house groaned, the floors trembling beneath their feet. Then, faintly, they heard whispering coming from the walls. Dozens of voices, crying, begging, calling out a single name, Mary. Megan covered her ears. Stop it. Please stop, she screamed. But the whispers only grew louder. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and every door in the house slammed at once. Chris fell to his knees, clutching his head. She's angry, he shouted. We woke her up. Jake grabbed the Ouija board, yelling, then we'll put her back. He slammed it on the table and tried to light a candle, but the flame refused to stay lit. The letters on the board began to smoke, glowing faintly red like burning embers. The smell of ash returned, stronger than ever. Then, without warning, a low moan echoed through the hall. Footsteps creaked upstairs. Slow. Heavy. Getting closer. The air turned freezing cold. Megan clutched Jake's arm, whispering, "She's coming." The last light bulb shattered above them, showering sparks onto the floor. And from the top of the stairs, a voice, calm, bitter, and broken, spoke through the dark, "You took my peace. Now I'll take yours." The curse unleashed. The words hung in the air like poison. Jake froze, staring up the staircase where a faint red glow began to spread. The wooden steps creaked one by one as something slowly descended. The smell of burned wood and roses filled the room. Then she appeared, Mary Blackwood. Her dress was blackened and torn, her face half hidden by singed hair. Where her eyes should have been, two dull red lights flickered like dying coals. Sarah's necklace dangled from her hand. "You called for me," she whispered. "Now, you'll stay." Megan screamed and threw a chair toward her, but it passed right through, slamming against the wall. Mary raised her head, and every window shattered at once. Wind howled through the house, carrying the faint echo of women crying, the same cries from the trial long ago. Jake grabbed Chris's arm. "Run." They bolted toward the back door, but when Jake yanked it open, he didn't see the yard. Instead, there was fire, endless, roaring flames, swirling around the house like a cage. Megan fell to her knees, sobbing. "We didn't mean to, we just wanted to know the truth," she cried. Mary stepped closer, her voice rising. "The truth?" Her face twisted in anger. "The truth is they burned me alive for his sins. They cursed me, and now, I curse you." The flames outside grew taller, licking at the windows. Chris grabbed the Ouija board from the table, shouting, "Maybe if we destroy it." He raised it above his head and smashed it against the floor. The fire suddenly went silent. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. Then, the board cracked down the middle, and the entire house shook violently. From the walls came screams, hundreds of them, angry and terrified, filling every corner. Jake pulled Megan close as the ceiling began to collapse. The last thing they saw was Mary's burned hand reaching out toward them through the smoke, her voice soft again now. "You should have let me rest." And then, the house went dark. When firefighters reached the ruins of the old Blackwood house, they found no trace of the students, only a cracked Ouija board and ashes shaped like handprints. Locals say on quiet nights, you can still hear a woman's voice calling from the smoke, begging to be left alone. The legend of Mary Blackwood lives on, a warning that some stories should never be awakened. If you dare to hear what happened next in Hazel Creek, and if you enjoyed this chilling tale and want more true horror stories like this, subscribe to this channel for the next haunting. Subscribe to this channel.